there were some questions that were, when we threw this topic out, we received some questions ahead of time, which I forwarded to Larry. They're pretty technical questions. And so that's what he was referring to.
Okay.
So their questions, they already came from our group. And so we can mix them up.
Right. Well, here.
Were you going to present those as a
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here if
Fair enough.
Hold on.
Okay.
Sharing my screen. Here we go.
So one thing I'd like to remind all of our attendees is that in the chat group, if you have it pulled up, you can go all the way down to the bottom where it says file at the bottom right, and there's 3 dots next to it. If you go to that and you click on the 3 dots, it says save chat. You can save all the comments in the chat that has gone up above, and it saves it to a text file. Now everyone's computer and operating system slightly different, so you have to know where your text files get saved. But it's the ability to go back and see what was asked. And of course, this is being recorded, and so it'll be on our website, and you can go back and hear the answers and things like that. So I just wanted to throw that out. Thank you, Larry. Back to you.
No problem.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah. So you guys see the Word document that I've got on the screen here, where number 1 is battery management, active or passive.
Does everyone have good visibility to that? I mean, can they read the questions and the responses? I throw that out just someone say yes.
I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ann.
Could be larger.
For those of us who have older eyesight, I would like one font larger if possible.
You just zoom in a little bit, Larry.
Let's see here.
There should be a plus arrow on the top of your to do an enlarge, or
it's at the bottom of the screen.
At the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom on the right. Yep, there you go.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great.
No problem.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, so the first question, and we touched on this, and we may expand on it with your help, Maria, please. Battery management, is it active or passive? The short answer is yes. It is an active system on the trucks. It's actually gas cooled, maintaining optimum temp. And even on the video, we did talk about the thermal management system and how important that is. Maria, anything that you might add?
I don't know if the truck and bus is different, but the bus is air cooled, so
right.
It's
right.
So it has the heat and the AC that will manage the temperature of the batteries.
Right. That's where and I thought it was different. So on the trucks, it is actually a gas, and on the bus, it is the passive air cooling solution there, which answers question number 2. Battery chemistry, lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt, NMC, okay?
This is the same battery that's used across the board, at least for school buses, I know. So yeah, there's nothing different.
Right. And we do have our battery management system that's continuously monitoring the cells. And one thing that, you know, is we always talk about a stated and an actual range capacity with our buses and trucks. And we do have the monitoring system, and that's where through the Lion Beat, the telematics system, the managers and operators will have visibility to that as well. In the case of a collision, power does cut off, all right? Not much different than an airbag system in a car. Battery pack did successfully pass SAE J2464 testing procedures, which included drop, mechanical shop, short circuit, overcharge, and others. Nail penetration test was also performed. Next question, is a heat pump available for cab heating in moderately cold, reducing the range? So you'll see my answer here, but let me start by saying that we are based in Canada. So we are designed and engineered and born in cold climates. All right. Now, in the truck, we've got a solution where we can heat off the main battery pack, and we do have a consumption factor of 4 to 6 kilowatts per hour when in operation. So if I've got a 168 kilowatt battery pack and you're going to have a 10-hour day ahead of you, you know, that would be a significant reduction there. So we may be looking at one of the bigger ones. One thing that's really good to note, though, is you can actually preheat the cab while the vehicle is plugged in. So you're actually using the energy off of the grid, not depleting from that. We do also have an auxiliary heating option, far more efficient than pulling off of the battery packs. But then at that point, you are no longer pure electric. It's a ProHeat auxiliary heater that draws in air from the outside. Combusted air is discharged, etc. It's very efficient. We say the auxiliary heater is designed to work independently. We'll use 5 to 10 gallon diesel tank and approximately 50 gallons over the course of a year. Well, really that is one tank per month over a 5-hour, you know, whether you want to start it in November through March, you know, and you see the consumption rate estimation there of the gallons per hour. So continuing here, let's see.
Hey, Larry, if I could just let you know, so the heating options for the school bus are going to be the same. And, you know, like Larry said too, you can, for an afternoon route in Texas, you can have the bus plugged in and be cooling that cabin down and not withdrawing the power from the batteries. So, you know, it's really beneficial in that way. And that air conditioning, let me tell you, it works. I was down in South Florida and we had grown men telling us to cut the air off. It was getting too cold on there, so.
That's good to know. Good to know. Thank you. Number 5 was an interesting question, Michael. I'm not sure where it came from, where he says, from other presentations, Lion is battery agnostic. Does this mean the charging system and control will work differently with different packs designed by Lion? I said, well, you know, I'm not sure which presentation you were referring to, and I even mentioned it. We like to say that our trucks are body agnostic, and we work with the different body manufacturers to engineer and mount their chassis. With regards to the batteries, we do not have a proprietary charging solution. And I mentioned ABB that we've partnered with for the charging solutions. There are other OEMs that do have their proprietary solutions, and I don't see customers being receptive to that. So the ABB charging system, if you bought a Lion truck, you know, and then you decided to bring in a lighter duty, different OEM, you would be able to use that same charging cabinet. Maria, can you expand on that with regards to bus?
Yeah, I think it's about the same. I mean, you know, you can use different charging, although we've partnered with ABB, I mean, you can use different charging companies. I mean, in South Florida, they're using Nuvi, same in Indianapolis. So I don't think you have the option to choose who you want to choose. Right.
Just continuing on with our answer there, Lion battery packs suffer very little degradation, and this is not an estimation, this is taken from the 300 buses, 6 million miles. And actually, I've been told that the degradation, which is just the reduction of the capacity of the battery over time, I've been told that it's 0.5% in a bus. We say in a truck that it's going to be a much more difficult, rigorous application. So we'll take that ×4, and we're going to say that the degradation for the battery would be 2% per year. But that means 10%, or actually 10 years from now, rather, you're going to have 80% capacity still left, which essentially would mean you would just be charging a little more frequently. With that, battery swapping would really not be necessary. Question number 6, do Lion vehicles have one pedal driving, high regenerative brake setting? Short answer, yes. And regen braking, like I said before, it's like having that Jake brake in the strongest setting. And I've been told, from the drivers firsthand, that's the one transition they have to make is just getting used to feathering the accelerator pedal, slowing the vehicle down just by letting off the accelerator without even jumping onto the brakes. Maria, you just delivered a bus. What has the feedback been with the regen braking that you've seen and heard from our operators?
Right. So what we do when we deliver school buses, we'll do driver training. And so we have the driver go through their route. And I mean, you see it firsthand with every driver. They took their foot off the accelerator and they're pushing on the brake. And so what we're really trying to train them is as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, you can actually feel the bus. It actually moves you. You can feel the bus starting to stop. And and so we're kind of training their brain to say, okay, well, let me just slide into this stop sign, or kind of glide into it without having to push on the brake. So they really like it. You also have the option to turn it off should there be an ABS, you're in an ABS situation. And also just to note too, the regen doesn't turn on until after the bus is down, is it 80%, I think it is, of the battery capacity. So, but I mean, we get a lot of positive feedback, and again, it's going to save you maintenance. So it's a great feature, I think.
Yeah, it really does. And it's so strong that, I know it's a law, but humans are still humans. They better have their seatbelt on. So if you took your foot right off the accelerator, you better have your seatbelt on, or else you might be kissing the windshield.
Yeah, you definitely feel that movement.
Continuing on quickly with the questions so we get to live Q&A. Does Lion do route charging and modeling to help customer maximize their charging and rolling stock use? My short answer is yes, although this is evolving. Between the Lion Beat, which is our telematic system, and then our Lion Energy, which is our engineers and managers internally, we are going through that evolution. We look forward to a potential on the diagnostic side of having something where we could plug in and after a week send it to us and we could do a further route analysis. That's the direction that we're going, although we are not there yet. Let's keep going. Michael, I owe you an answer. I went to the engineers with question number 8, and I did not get a response on the silicon carbide components. So I will get you an answer back on that.
Hey, Larry, one thing is that you will provide a copy of this that we can upload along with your PDF file for our website and our members to have a review after all this is done. We appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'll email it as soon as we're done with the call.
Fantastic.
Question number 9. Has Lion conducted aerodynamic studies? Yes, we have. Among the most aerodynamic trucks on the market and the buses, I talked about that cab forward configuration. When you've got that flat front, when it comes to matters of aerodynamics, you break that wind flow once, and that is your most efficient configuration that you can have. Lion worked with a company called Bombardier Aerospace within the National Research Council to maximize aerodynamics. So very happy to report that. Has a solar PV option been considered? Lion considered solar PV options to power accessories such as refrigeration. What I've been told is there's just not enough real estate on the truck to do that. With the bus, I don't know if it would be there. Really, what my understanding is if they were going to do that, more likely on a trailer behind the semi-tractor. you know, and Michael, and you guys even talked a lot about solar. There's just not enough space, or I don't think the panels are that efficient. We've looked at it. We're just not there yet. I know that technology is continuing to evolve, and I don't want to take us into a rabbit hole. But Michael, you and I got talking because I've got solar on my roof of my house, but I've got 34 panels on 4 different roof sections, and it's a 9.86 kilowatt system. Okay. And when you're talking a 252 battery pack, you know, that we use for our trucks, it's just not there yet. I know that there is evolution for it. But again, I think that's one thing that they're just scratching the surface on. Question number 11, you know, I really touched on this. We don't do light duty. We currently have the Class 6 and the Class 8, and our product roadmap for 2021 does include the 5 and the 7. Quite honestly, that light duty EV market is awfully competitive. And really, we're medium and heavy duty, and that's where our focus is. So I don't see us going into the Class 4 and lighter. But I am excited about a Class 5, especially in the aerial lift set. Excuse me. So that's all there. And again, I will email this over to you so you can post it onto the website. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Do you want to just start taking us through the chat and some of the questions that came up?
Sure. And what I want to do is I'm just going to come back and share my screen. If I can find my report. I think I accidentally closed my report. So let's do the view so we see everyone. Does everyone see everyone? Okay, great. Hi.
Hi, I'm back.
All right, so Rosa, between the two of us, why don't we go through our questions that have been raised by the chat or that have been posted in the chat. And then if anyone wants to ask a question, just raise your hand and you know, we'll try to get to you.
Okay, well, let's start with Mark Whitty's question regarding whether with the incoming administration, what your views are of the changes of additional grants being available to school districts to transition to electric buses. Maria or Larry?
When you're saying incoming administration, you're saying nationally?
Yeah, for
yes,
the
sir,
US
federal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
United
think it's going
States.
No. I just no, and believe me, I'm not a politically correct person. Just spend some time with me. I'll tell you how I feel. I don't think it's going to change. The VW Mitigation Trust Fund, that is in place, and that is going to continue to be in place. The DERA, Diesel Emissions Reductions Act, that's in place. Those funds are there. I will say with Joe Biden, you hear talk about the Green New Deal. If anything, there's just going to continue to be more support. But yeah, with the current programs of VW and DERA, in addition to what Texas has to offer, I don't think anything, if anything, is just going to increase. Maria, you have thoughts on that? You're pretty well versed on the funding side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll welcome more grants by all means, but and obviously the way that Biden had spoken, it seemed like he wanted, you know, to push electric. So, you know, we're open to it. I guess we'll see what happens.
I guess in that context, to follow up on Mark's question, is what is the industry demand that you see for electric buses, not just for Lion, but for the industry as a whole?
For electric school buses, I mean, we definitely see it increasing. You know, obviously, and as more money comes out, and as battery technology gets, it's better and there's more demand for electric, that the cost of the battery is going to go down. So really right now it's funding. And so the more funding that's available, the more, the more buses we'll be able to put out there. Did I answer that?
Yeah. And I would just say in a very general sense on the truck side that customers are buying trucks and buses, I believe, to prove the concept. As it gets proved, it's going from 1 and 2 and 3. From there, that's where you're going to start seeing more of the volume, 5, 10, 20. But it is, the funding is very much a portion of it because it is a value proposition, especially for school districts. And let's face it, there's budget constraints. And through the pandemic, everything has changed. Are they on hybrid schedules or not? Some of the districts, the buses just aren't even running, period. Others, they may be actually running more if they've got students distanced in hybrid schedules. But again, you're working with taxpayer dollars, and those are long processes. So we're dealing with budgets all the time. So one of the things that I get frustrated with is just the very long sales cycle. But it's just going to continue to accelerate. And let's face it, Maria and I, we bet our career on electric. And we believe that's the strongest endorsement I can give.
There was a follow-on to Mark's question, which dealt primarily with your ability as demand increases to be able to meet your demand for vehicles. Now, you had mentioned in very early that your capacity in your plant in Canada is 2,500 vehicles a year, and that, of course, that's the mix of your product line. So, are you meeting that demand now, or is that your forecast? And if you do have to expand, is there going to be another plant expansion in a new location? Come to Texas.
Thank you. It's you put it on a T for me. First of all, that 2,500 capacity, we are not at capacity as I understand it, but we are actively looking into the U.S. to get a highly automated assembly plant here in the U.S. It'll help just especially with right now getting things across the border is an issue. Secondly, freight is a huge expense. So we are very actively looking at expansion for an assembly plant into the U.S. That will happen. If it's not in 21, I think it would be 22 at the very furthest. In addition to a battery plant to where we could be standing alone there. So again, we're not at capacity, but believe me, we're looking to ramp up, and we will also have facilities because I don't know what Maria has heard, but I heard the number 12,000 vehicles a year once we get the second plant. Have you heard that, Maria?
Yeah, I've heard that number too. So it's exciting. Yeah,
well, when you do start looking out and about, consider Dallas. We're an intermodal regional national center, and between both access to Houston and our rails, it's a great location. So
right,
it'd be great to see Dallas move forward in that. We also have an automobile manufacturer here, Chevrolet. They have a Cadillac plant in Arlington.
Right. Well, so one thing that I do want to say, and I don't know if they're looking at Texas for an assembly plant, but I can tell you that in 2021, we will be putting an experience center in Texas.
Oh, okay.
So we have that in a different presentation that we've shared, and on the video, they talked about it where we're going to go from 6 to 11. Well, Texas is one of the priority states that we have targeted for an experience center. Now, whether that's going to be DFW, San Antonio, Houston, I really believe that that's going to be customer led. Mm-hmm. But it is high on our priority to get an experience center in Texas.
The other thing I want to touch on that real quick too is I'm not sure how it is for truck, Larry, but I know for school bus, we can't sell direct to a customer, so it has to go through a dealer. So we have been interviewing with different dealers, and the dealer it won't just be to sell a bus, it will also be to help service until we can get that experience center up and running.
Larry, you've mentioned that several times that it's a value proposition for the bus. And obviously there is some carbon footprint that gets caked into the manufacture of the school buses in particular. Have you estimated what how much time would take to offset that carbon footprint from the manufacturing process before you start getting into savings?
Well, on the manufacturing side, I haven't been able, I don't know if you've seen that, Maria, I haven't. When we talk about the greenhouse gas reduction that a bus or a truck will offer, that is through, the operation of that vehicle by eliminating the fuel, the diesel exhaust fuel. The manufacturing side, I haven't factored that in or really had that question, quite honestly. Maria?
No, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, I haven't heard that question either, but I mean, we can definitely find out.
Yeah, so carbon impact through manufacturing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's being considered more and more as part of evaluating products, as far as it's not just the use by the consumer, but it's also how it's been manufactured. And so it's that total carbon footprint through the entire life cycle. And of course, there's the recycling component there as well. So do you all have a recycling program associated with, say, your batteries? What's the life of your batteries?
Maria, do you want to lead the initial response here?
Sure. So our batteries have a 3,000 cycle. So that's assuming that it's going to go through 300 cycles in a year. So it'll last 10 years. You're going to see some degradation after 8 to 10 years, depending on how many cycles you have. But, the life of the battery, so it's not just to say it can be used just as a school bus. It can be recycled to a power plant, or it can be used in other ways. So it's not like it's just going to be used in a school bus and then thrown away. There are alternate uses for it. Larry, you want to touch on that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I can expand on that while she's looking through her notes there. With the trucks, first of all, our batteries have a projected 4,000 cycles. Standard warranty is 8 years with an option to go to 12. So we're very confident that our batteries will last at least 12 years. Second life, we do have a couple different options that we can offer there. Maria, were you able to come up with your notes?
Well, you're on mute there, Maria.
Hey, sorry, I was trying to find, I have a slide that shows what the alternate uses are, and I'm just struggling to find it right now, so.
That's okay.
It's
You
okay.
can provide that at another time.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot of discussion in our attendees and everyone pretty familiar with recycling and repurposing of used batteries when they come off the market, either from an electric vehicle or from other purposes as well. So,
Okay.
Rosa, you want to go to
Yes.
the next question?
Sure. Larry, Melon wants to know, who are your main competitors?
From a school bus side, there's other, I guess Bluebird and Thomas are our main competitors. So they both have their electric school buses out there.
Okay, how about the other vehicles?
Well, in truck, I'm just sitting here smiling, and I'm going to tell you that our competition is diesel. We're doing what everybody else is talking about doing, especially on the refuse side. because nobody else has been able to work that pure electric body with an EV chassis. And we are actually building and delivering vehicles. Obviously, all of the legacy diesel OEMs have an offering that they're trying to bring out, but they're always going to be a diesel OEM. And really, I think that their focus is not towards EV because they make so much money on the parts sales. And with the parts and maintenance reductions that EV offers, the diesel OEMs are always going to look at EV as a sideline supplement. There is a company called BYD that is a Chinese owned OEM that initially, really, they're a battery company, and then they started selling forklifts, and then they did some transit buses. They do have a refuse truck, although I don't know if it's in production, and they don't, I'm not sure if they have a pure electric body solution. Competition is coming for sure, and we know it. We just know that we're ahead of it.
So is Peterbilt not one of your competitors?
Oh, they're a competitor, but they're not. They haven't built or delivered anything, so we're ahead of them. You know, but Peterbilt, Kenworth, they are both. You know, and they're a great company. You know, Packer is a great company. Peterbilt and Kenworth both. They do have EVs that they will be offering, but like I'm saying, they're just not into production yet. You know, and so does Daimler, Freightliner, Volvo. They're all coming along. We just with the 6 million miles and the 300 buses, we just have that as a launching pad. Between that and we've got orders into Waste Connections, the #3 solid waste carrier that's based out of Houston. They've given us orders, and they've also got applications in for, let's just say, more than 10 in Texas on the current program. Then we've got the order from Amazon. We've got an order from CN Rail. Nobody else can say that. And so our press releases is really a who's who of industry leaders. So we're very proud of that.
Michael, you want to take the next question?
Sure. This is from Eugenia, and total cost of ownership is that with or without subsidies over the, you know, when you throw your numbers out as far as that it's reduced total cost of ownership, does that include you know, the government subsidies or not?
Initially we'll do it, but we can do it both ways. It's an Excel formula. And so I'll have the subsidy as just a variable in that equation, because inevitably the question will be asked, because when it's so strong, when you're getting 70% off the total vehicle, your ROI is practically immediate. That you're going to see your ROI in the first year, maybe 2. And then they say, that's great. And then what happens when that program goes away? And then it's like, okay, so you take that variable and you take that percentage from whatever to 0, and you show that you will get your money back, but you know, it may be year 4, 5, 6. Typically, I'll tell you that my experience on the truck side is when I take that subsidy away, you see that ROI in about year 5 or 6. So we do it both ways. And, you know, the customer, the purchasing manager, he's not doing his job if he doesn't look at it without the subsidies, because it's one thing to prove the concept, get it in, but they also need to know that the ROI will be there if that subsidy goes away.
Eugenia, did that answer your question?
Yeah, perfect. So I understand that the total cost of ownership is still superior once the subsidy is taken away.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And my experience on the truck side is they will depreciate between 5 and 6 years, 7 at the longest, but then they will operate them for at least 10 to 12. So again, you know, and the other part of it is, you know, we like to say everybody wants to have an ecological conversation, but the economics have to be there first. The other part of that is the economics don't work if the truck or the bus doesn't do the job. First of all, it's got to finish the route, and it's got to do it well, and it's got to do it safely, you know. So first is it's got to do the job. Second of all, the economics have to play out because the sustainability doesn't happen if the economics don't support it. But they do. And again, it's not if you're going to get your money back, it's when.
Janelle had a couple questions. I think one of them you answered regarding getting involved in the charging setups for the school districts. But I didn't see, and I don't think her question regarding what the charging time, what that is for, let's say, for your school buses.
Okay, on school buses, so again, it's going to depend on the battery pack that you choose. So on a level 2 charger, it's going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, just depending. And then on the level 3 fast charge is going to be anywhere between 2.5 and 5 hours.
And other than the agreement you have for the charging stations, are there any other options other than that for entities who might buy your school buses for them to charge their equipment?
I'm sorry, what? Can you say that question again?
Yes, you have an agreement. Is it with ABBM or something like that for?
Yeah. Okay.
And
that's not so to say that you have to use that that company. You can choose what infrastructure company you want to use. It is compatible with all others. It's not compatible with Tesla, but you know, but it is compatible with other charging companies.
Okay.
Right. It's just the partnership is with ABB, but if you wanted to go with ChargePoint or one of the others, totally fine.
Okay.
It's all the same. And our Line Energy will still help you in that whole process. So they'll still, you know, work with you on what infrastructure you need, ensuring that it gets installed and managing that infrastructure.
Fantastic. Michael, you want to take the next one?
The next one's from Mellon. And I believe he was asking about on your utility truck, the one with the boom arm, is it totally autonomous or is it managed and controlled by the operator in the cab?
No, it would be operator driven. You know, it's interesting that the industry talks about AI and autonomy, but no, that would be, it's not an autonomous system. And we are working with the various aerial lift OEMs, Posi Plus in Canada, Altec in Alabama, working with them, and it would be an ePTO that their body uses to operate the lift, pulling off the battery pack from the truck, but no autonomy yet.
Yeah, so Mellon, actually, do you want to continue?
Yeah. I wasn't referring to the bucket trucks. I was talking about the refuse trucks.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and again, AI is evolving for sure. And, you know, I see that evolution happening, but just like in vehicles, in automobiles rather, you know, you still have to have the driver in the vehicle. So as AI evolves, you know, that capability will be there. And certainly with the diagnostics and the telematics, you know, we're going to be able to work with those different AI manufacturers. I know it's something that they're talking about, but I don't see it coming in a road vehicle in the near future.
Yeah, they're moving away from crew served sanitation trucks as fast as they can. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Right. Well, it's the one last thing to say that I could offer on that point. Before I came to Lion, I was with a yard truck manufacturer, and AI is evolving there, but in those spotters, yard dogs, hostlers as they're known, significant percentage of those don't even leave the lot, which is an ideal situation for AI. If you got a truck that's living in the 10 to 12 mile an hour range and not leaving the lot, that's an ideal situation to introduce AI. As it goes to road vehicles and so many different variables, especially with the refuse trucks being in residential areas, I see that being a slow progression, and they will have to have a driver in the vehicle for a number of years. It is evolving, no doubt. It's just the timing of it.
Larry, Eugenia wants to know
Thank you.
whether your customers are going electric by a desire to go green or by the economics of your product.
Boy, it varies, and I'll let Maria expand on this, but my short answer is both. With the truck purchase, one of the most important things that I could do is find out who's the decision maker, and typically that is multiple people. You're going to have a maintenance manager, you're going to have somebody looking at the economics, and then you're also going to be looking, perhaps a safety, director, and ultimately you're going to have the president of the company. Typically, it's a interest in sustainability, but it needs to be backed up with economics.
Yeah.
So is one leading the other? I will tell you that the food industry, they're great prospects for us. Because there are many of them that are really flying the green flag of sustainability. But again, it's a desire for sustainability, but the economics have to be there. Maria, what do you see on the school side?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they kind of go hand in hand. I don't know that you really see one over the other. The go green side of it, when we talk about school buses, we're talking about kids, we're talking about these, the greenhouse gases, the NOx levels. I mean, what they're breathing in. And so you really see school districts really entertaining electric because for that reason, for the benefit of the air that these kids are breathing. And then the TCO message just goes hand in hand with the EVs. So I don't know to say they're choosing one over the other. It's really just, here's all of the benefits of going electric, and that's how we can sell it.
Yeah, I found intriguing when I heard your presentation from Houston was when you were talking about the utility purposing, especially like with the lift truck, you don't have any noise. And so right now with all the hydraulics, the diesel has to keep going to drive the hydraulics and everything, and no one can hear each other. So they're going to have to talk by walkie-talkie or something like that. All that goes away. And plus you don't have the truck idling there because it's working off the batteries. It can, right. So you're not polluting the air. I mean, it's just, there's so many positives
Right.
in the long term. Molly has a great question here, and it deals with your composite bodies. And the first question is a two-part question. One is, do you have any recycled content in that? And then the follow-on is, do you have any specific sources or resources to recycle the vehicle bodies at the end of their life? Which begs me to ask the question is, what are you projecting the life of these vehicles to be? Because few moving parts, replace the tires for maintenance, batteries where they have to be replaced, at 8, 10, 12 years. But, I mean, I know you all have looked at that. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'll start. I mentioned the 12-year battery life potential with extended warranty on the trucks. So certainly we know that the bodies are going to live up to that. As far as repurposing to a second vehicle, actually, I think it might be more pertinent for Maria to speak on with the bus, because we do see more of the vehicle is the body than the chassis. So I understand the concept of what you're talking about. Is it possible to take that bus body onto another chassis? Perhaps. But I will tell you, actually, on the refuse truck, that material in the back of a garbage truck is so corrosive that many operators will actually do a new body in between years 8 and 10. And we will actually factor that in, that they're either going to refurbish the body or they're going to replace the body. So I can actually look at that and factor that in when I'm doing my cost of ownership. But as far as transferring the body to a new chassis, I mean, the other part of it is, we've been delivering vehicles since 2016. So that longevity factor is yet to be proven.
Mm-hmm.
Maria, your thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't had this question either. And as far as, do our bodies include any recycled content? That's something I'll have to ask. I'm not sure if we know that or not. And, again, we've only had vehicles out since 2016, so we haven't had to recycle any of our bodies yet. But, that's definitely something that that I can ask the question about. I mean, as far as your life of your bus, your batteries aren't going to degrade at the same time, so you can replace your batteries as you need them, and your body is definitely going to withstand the life of the bus as well. But I can get more detail on the recycling part of it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Hey, Maria, I've got a question. We're on the bus side. I talked about, with the truck guys that they'll depreciate between 5 and 7 years and keep them for 10 to 12. What do the school districts and the bus operators do for a bus life cycle?
We typically see districts keeping school buses 10 to 15 years, with the average being around 12. So it just varies on the state, on the school district itself. And these buses are expected to last definitely that long, and you'll still see your TCO message throughout that life of the bus.
Right. Well, and you came from a legacy, can you speak to that corrosion thing? I don't want to speak for your experience. You can disclose it as you will, but what was your experience?
Sure. I mean, as you see older buses running down the road, you see the rust that these steel bodies are having. You see the paint is, faded, and so, it's a real problem, especially, I guess, that you would say in northern states where, they're being exposed to a lot of elements. But this composite body is ultimately, it's going to stay pretty, right? It's going to stay shiny. It's not going to rust. And you're not going to have the problems that you run into with a corroding body. So, I mean, a lot of those states up north are they can't keep their bus 10 to 12 years because the body's corroding. So you're just not going to have that issue with this composite. There's
a question from James regarding the fossil fueled heater option. Whether there are any plans for converting that to net zero carbon synthetic fuels?
Boy, good question. I don't know. I would say possibly. I'm going to make note of that, because customers, that's a catch-22, but especially, being in the northern climates, that it does degrade from the pure electric solution.
Michael, you want to take the next one?
Yeah,
sorry.
we have some great discussion going on in regards to our program here in Dallas, which is CCAP. and what their targets are as far as electrifying their fleet. And their fleet consists of buses as well as their utility vehicles and everything like that. And they have a projection they would like to get there by 2040. So just wanted to make you aware of that. They also have a zero waste goal plan, and so tying electric vehicles into the waste cycle would be something for them to look at too as well. And of course, the whole purpose is to make our air cleaner, and so that's one of the advantages of electrifying your fleets. Mark Woody makes a pretty interesting observation here, and he always does. He always comes up with these, and I appreciate his insight. But he says there's approximately 480,000 buses in the United States, and just if Lion was the only manufacturer, I mean, it would take you 150 years, más o menos, or 190 years. I'm sorry, to even deliver that. And so what that does is it tells me that there's a fantastic opportunity to provide manufacturing facilities throughout the country to provide both opportunity to workforce development and economic development in areas that we need to transition. So I just throw that back at you as there's a lot to do here, and that's just school buses. Let's not, all the municipalities it'd be unbelievable. So.
One thing that I'd like to respond to that and let Maria add on, I can tell you that in the truck fleet operations, many fleets will recycle about 10% of their fleet per year. So if I've got a fleet that has 250 trucks, they might be buying 25 trucks a year, okay? And with the school districts, I'm going to say it might actually be less. So I see the math, but on the other hand, we have to, especially with school districts, you got to remember, you're talking taxpayer dollars and budgets, and then what is the age of the fleet? There aren't any fleet that, they're going to turn their entire fleet over. They do that over time. And that's largely because of budget. And then secondly, if you spent X thousands of dollars and you've got your bus or truck is only 1, 2, 3, or 4 years old and even still under warranty, why would you replace it so quickly? Maria, what have you seen from a bus replacement strategy that you see?
Right. Yes. So we mostly see school districts. It's about 7% and then we're saying about 1% of that would be electric. So yeah, there are 480,000 school buses out there, but we're not going to see that turnover, until many years down for many years. So yeah, I mean, it's about 7%. I would say that turnover rate is.
All right.
Does anybody still on the Zoom meeting have any questions that they want to pose to either Larry or Maria?
Michael, I've got a question. You mentioned this CCAP program. Is that SEA CAP, or is it the letter C is in cat?
It's an acronym for the Clean Energy Community Action Plan. Is that what it's saying? I think.
Well, and really,
yeah, it's comprehensive, but it's the overall energy environmental plan for sustainability for the city of Dallas. I can provide. I'll send you a link to the website and the report.
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, and I've been in touch with a couple of people at the Office of Sustainability that you had mentioned, but I will tell you, it's City of Dallas, and so that's been great. But I will tell you that the guys that are running the trucks, they're nowhere near as receptive as the folks in the sustainability office.
Yeah.
Michael, did I miss any questions from?
No, I just want to bring everyone else's attention back to, capturing the chat if you can, but this is being recorded. We appreciate everyone's participation. I think it's been a great presentation. Thank you so much, Larry and Mary, Maria, I apologize.
That's all right.
We did make mention earlier about the Climate Reality Project and that they're meeting next Saturday. And I got a little more information about what is going to be presented. It's going to be from the New Orleans CRP chapter. They will present a science and engineering discussion on the future of electricity production in the era of it just moved on me, of the Biden-Harris climate science plan. And so they also provide some links, a bio for the presenter. Oh, I have another question. I apologize, from Bill Byram. And his question is in regards to, in addition to school buses, are you also going to provide transit buses?
We do currently have a shuttle bus. It's a Lion M that we call it. It's the battery power on that is 160 kilowatt hours, and it gets a max range of 150. As far as anything above and beyond that, I don't know.
Would that be like a shuttle bus operation at the airports and things like that?
Yeah, it's a low floor shuttle bus. So we just came out with that this year as well. So I'm not sure as far as transit if we have anything bigger than that.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to have anything bigger than that.
I want to give, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Rosa.
I just wanted to give Maria and Larry a last round of applause for their presentation. We appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Really
all for
appreciate
your time and attention on a Saturday. Have a great week, folks.
Thank you. And for people who are still on the call, our next meeting on December 12th, we will have Susan Alvarez, the Assistant Director of the Environmental Quality and Sustainability Department for the City of Dallas, give us a recap on the CCAP. So we look forward to that. We want to thank you all for being here and staying with us. And we look forward to seeing you next month, same time, same station. Be smart, stay healthy, be safe. The numbers in Dallas County are very high for the COVID-19, and so we all need to be very careful with each other.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, and I look forward to next time. Bye.
Everyone, one closing thing is that besides being smart, being safe, and staying healthy, is if you have any ideas about presenters, you've come across something in the past, and there's a topic that you want that would be of interest to our group, please email me, text me, or Joella, and we'll look into it and see what we can do to arrange them to be one of our presenters. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Michael.